Hello, welcome to Mosaic, the channel in search of the meaning of current events. And today we have our surprise guest from our Mosaic evening on May 20th in Jerusalem. Hello, Fadila Maaroufi.
Hello, Antoine. Thank you.
I remind you that you are an anthropologist and that you founded the Observatory of Fundamentalism in Brussels. And during that evening at the Beguinage Center, you briefly spoke about your background and your work. Your intervention was very, very well received, I believe, and certainly commented on this channel. So we're going to take a bit more time. Today, perhaps to go further, let's discuss your analysis of the current situation and your actions as well. Let's start, if you don't mind, with Belgium. You currently find yourself as a leading figure, so to speak, in this offensive of the Muslim Brotherhood in Europe. How would you describe the situation in your country today? Fadila Maaroufi.
Well, the situation in Belgium is quite dramatic, I must say. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because it's been 40 years since the Muslim Brotherhood and fundamentalism has progressed and settled in well, to the point that right now we really have personalities who are active on the ground, both in what we call the local councils, the equivalent of town halls, where there are indeed people from the Muslim community who are elected officials, etc. And they have a huge influence on politics in Belgium, especially in Brussels. Why am I talking about Brussels in particular? Because that's obviously where the European institutions are located. And it's also where we have NATO. And of course, that point is important and it's crucial, in fact, as a place to influence the other European member countries. And it's from there that we also launch our attacks. France, from Belgium, from Brussels, by acting within the European institutions. So why is it so dramatic? It is also dramatic because we can clearly see that there is certain topics that remain taboo. When we talk about Islamism, it remains a taboo. When we talk about radicalism, it remains a taboo, but it only stays taboo when it concerns Belgium. But on the other hand, we are very willing to talk about it when it's outside, but through the lens of Islamophobia or discrimination against Muslims. However, when it really comes to talking about the Muslim Brotherhood or Islamism as being a concept or a group of individuals who undermine our democracies here in Belgium, in any case, we don't talk about it, obviously, and everyone tries to hide it all under the carpet, whether it's the media. We do not have, for the moment, for the time being, media that are really brave enough to talk about it very clearly. You know, we're still in Belgium, sitting on the fence, always trying to weigh the pros and cons, but thinking I'm being objective. But in reality, there is really a cowardice, I think, on a national level, but also because Brussels has a majority in certain municipalities of a large population of Muslim faith. It ranges from 22% to 45% of Muslims in certain municipalities in Brussels. Brussels has 19 municipalities. And among these municipalities, you have 8 or 9 where there is a majority or at least a large proportion of Muslims. So it's a Muslim vote that is obviously favored by the different political parties, whether from the left to the right at the moment, because obviously the right, even if they talk about it in their speeches, they are trying to show that they will take action. But in reality, they are playing exactly the same game as the left-wing parties, which have massively recruited among the Muslim population, and especially the Muslim Brotherhood, which is well represented in these different parties. So the Muslim Brotherhood in these different parties, they're not who they are, not who they are. In fact, it's very horizontal, meaning that in each party, you're going to have personalities affiliated with the Brotherhood. And when it comes time to decide or vote on laws, they will come together to try to influence each party in favor of laws that they consider to be Islamic.
What is it precisely? The actions they are trying to push. On what point specifically, how can we read their strategy to?
Specifically about, for example, a motion regarding the wearing of the veil. Actually, there have been motions. I gave one example, but it's just one among many others. But in a municipality in Brussels, a municipality called Anderlecht, there was a motion proposal for the authorization of wearing religious symbols, including the wearing of the veil, because that's really it. The issue for people who work within the municipal office. And what's quite shocking is that we first had, and this really needs to be emphasized, there were death threats clearly that were spread to the elected officials, and they had to vote in favor. So it was upheld, the vote was upheld, and it was overwhelmingly voted in favor. But there was also within the Brussels Parliament, for example, on ritual slaughter, without stunning, there too there were votes, whether on the left, well, it was mostly on the left, but on the right, we still had a few personalities who were present. And there was one person who withdrew, but otherwise were trying to influence from within in favor of slaughter. Yes, ritual slaughter. Yes, exactly. So these points are very important because each time an Islamic norm is put forward and we're moving forward in a gradual way. And if it's not allowed, it's not a big deal for them. They will continue to try to influence from within until it goes through. They have a long-term perspective, they know it, and they don't lose hope, unlike us. And after all, some secular political figures will tell you, well, over time, it will eventually fade away. Or, well, why not? So that's what we hear very often. There's this relativism. In fact, we think we're much stronger, much smarter than our enemies.
We'll come back to that. During your studies, you conducted an infiltration investigation into the Brotherhood circles in Belgium. Maybe you can tell